What up, folks, and welcome to the Kyber Culture, episode 115, with myself, the Mandalorian, and Din Johnson. Din Johnson. And folks, it is time. After a 2-year wait, the Mandalorian has returned, and we are here to discuss the Season 3 premiere, Chapter 17, The Apostate. So stick around, make sure to follow the Kyber Culture on all our socials. The links are in the description. And if you like what you're listening to, please consider leaving a rating and a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. Drop that 5-star. Leave us a real nice rating. We'd really appreciate it. Helps people discover our show. But before we get into it, Aaron, how's it going?
We are surviving. Got to move out towards the end of the year. Pretty sure I talked about that on previous pods that I've been on. We're figuring that out. I don't do much outside of work other than play World of Warcraft. And speaking of World of Warcraft, it's been a little bit of like a dry part of the first season of the new expansion, but we do have some major changes coming to like my main class, which I'm not going to go into super in-depth detail about. I do think we're going to have some pretty good content coming up in the next big raid. All of the like the blue posts from Blizzard and blue posts are just like, these are like officially said statements from Blizzard employees or anybody that works from Blizzard. We're going to have some good shit coming up for Dragonflight Season 2. Dragonflight. It's going to be fun, but business as usual, man, for me, outside of those. What about you, man?
I did watch a couple new movies recently. First one I saw was Cocaine Bear. Aaron, I don't know if you've seen ads for this, but it's a bear going on a rampage and he's high off cocaine. It is exactly as advertised. And that's what happens in the movie. It's like, it's a bear that it's based on a true story, loosely based on a true story. Like, this, I don't remember the drug guy's name, but he dumped a bunch of cocaine out of a plane and a bear got into it and ate it. The bear died. Rest in peace to the bear. In this movie, it takes that story and it's like the bear lives and just goes fucking nuts. And it's pretty awesome. It's pretty funny. It's directed by Elizabeth Banks. They're good laughs. It's definitely a good one to see with a crowd. The kills are pretty gory and there's just so many funny moments in it. Like there was times where the bear literally like snorted just like a giant lion. Like it wasn't just eating it. Like it literally like snorted it with its like little bear snout. It's just ridiculous to look at. But yeah, so Cocaine Bear, I give it like a 3.5 out of 5. It's a nice little watch. Another movie I saw recently, Creed 3, the latest installment in the Rocky/Creed franchise. Pretty damn good. Michael B. Jordan directed this one, so he directed and starred in it. It's the first time he directed a movie. Very impressive directorial debut, and I would say like what Michael B. Jordan did for this in terms of like the boxing scenes, the fight scenes, probably some stuff that you'd never seen in like a Creed or a Rocky movie before. Like there are some choices that he made visually to make the fights, like the boxing matches, a little more immersive. So I thought that was pretty cool. For this one, I give it a 4 out of 5. I might have a pod where we talk about it more in depth, but that's pending. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, Creed 3, 4 out of 5 for me. And yeah, no, that's pretty much it. Everything else is kind of business as usual. I bought The Last of Us Part 2. I might have mentioned that in a previous pod, but I haven't started. Well, I've been playing like a little bit of it here and there. I haven't been able to just really, I haven't taken a day to just dive into it. But yeah, looking forward to playing more. But yeah, so before we move on into talking some Mandalorian stuff, let's take a quick break for some ads. All right, and we're back. Before talking about the season 3 premiere of The Mandalorian, I do want to get into a little bit of Mandalorian lore with you. So question. I think you've seen Clone Wars and Rebels more than I. I think you have a deeper knowledge of these shows for sure. So I thought we could chat or recommend some arcs from these shows. to get to know more about just Mandalorian culture and the Mandalorians. I'm not gonna. I want to start us off with like just real quick note. It's not an arc from either of these shows, but it is important before you watch the season 3 of The Mandalorian. You need to watch 2 episodes from the Book of Boba Fett. Like, I'm just picturing people out there that exclusively watch The Mandalorian. Like, it's like, oh, it's like the Baby Yoda show, you know? And that's all they watch. And then they saw the season 2 finale. They saw Grogu go off with Luke, and now they're gonna try to dive into season 3 of The Mandalorian, and then they're gonna be like, wait a minute, what happened? You know? Well, I'll tell you what happens. The Book of Boba Fett is another Star Wars show on Disney Plus. There are 2 episodes you need to watch. It's Chapter 5 and Chapter 6. I think Chapter 5 is The Return of the Mandalorian. I forget what Chapter 6 is called. But essentially, Grogu and the Mandalorian, or Din Djarin, they reunite. Actually, no, they reunite in the finale of the Book of Boba Fett. So you need to watch 5 episodes. Or no, 3 episodes. I mean, you need to watch chapters 5, 6, and 7. And you know, Jon Favreau said something kind of strange recently. He's saying between season 2 of the Mandalorian, season 2 and season 3 of the Mandalorian, he's saying like 2 years have passed. Not just in real life, but like in the show. Like, so Grogu spent 2 years training with Luke. How do you feel about that?
I'm a little bit underwhelmed hearing that.
You want him like more time, or you just think like, because to me, I'm just like, what? Why does this detail matter? You know, like, why are you going out telling people this?
It's not even necessarily that. I'm like, okay, 2 years with Luke Skywalker? 2 years with Luke Skywalker. And that's all he's learned? And that's no fault to Luke or Grogu. It's probably more fault on Grogu because he's just like lost in this world. Like, I can't really blame it on either of them, but I think that's kind of a not useless piece of information, but like,
it just confuses people, I think.
Yeah, like, why? Yeah, why do you need to throw that out there?
Because I know, like, me and you, we pay attention to, like I remember on the Andor pod, like, one of the episodes opened up, it's like, 5 BBY. And it's like, okay, well, now I'm factoring in what Favreau just said. It's like, okay, it would be ABY, right? Like, after the Battle of Yavin for the Mandalorian timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, so like Battle of Yavin happened here, ABY, and now you're saying since 2 years have passed, now it's this ABY, but now we keep moving forward like closer to like the sequel trilogy. So how does it all fit together? It's just like, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I don't know.
Well, and I don't think like none of us actually questioned the timeline in any of the Mandalorian episodes, like in either seasons. Like, what timeline are we in? Like, nobody ever asked that question. I mean, maybe some people.
Yeah, it's like,
but you know,
it's like all you need to know is that it's after Return of the Jedi. That's it. Anyways, that's my quick little rant on Book of Boba Fett. So yeah, be sure to watch that before you watch season 3 of The Mandalorian, just so that you're not confused. It'll be to your benefit. But anyways, Clone Wars and Rebels. What do you think? What are some? Let's start with Clone Wars first. What are some essential arcs to get to know the Mandalorians?
There's a lot of Mandalorian content in both of those shows, but if we're starting with Clone Wars first, it's the first time we've ever seen Mandalore on screen, and it's also before the destruction of Mandalore. And that would be Clone Wars, it's season 2, episodes 12 through 14. We also get the Death Watch for the first time. And if you don't understand the whole concept of Mando being a child of the Watch, you should definitely go watch this.
So he's a child of Death Watch? Because I know Death Watch, like later in Clone Wars, it kind of splits into 2, doesn't it?
Yes, but it's like, it's so complicated and it's so fractured, and that's just like the whole essence of Mandalorian culture in itself.
But anyways, let's focus on this arc first. Episodes 12 through 14 of season 2, right?
Death Watch, you get Pre-Vizsla. We'll talk about Tar Vizsla a little bit later. This is our first on-screen of the Darksaber, and we get Duchess Satine, who is Clan Kryze, and we have somebody who's got the last name of Kryze in Mandalorian. That would be an essential for me to watch. I don't want to spoil too much. Clone Wars season 4, episode 14. Bo-Katan Kryze, who is the sister of Satine. We know Bo-Katan in The Mandalorian. Definitely need to watch that. She was actually initially a member of the Death Watch. She's definitely go watch that. Totally disagreed with Satine, her sister. The whole ideological, political, the way that they both viewed Mandalore was just totally different. Absolutely watch that one. The Mandalorian coup, or the Mandalore coup. There's a lot of Darth Maul in this one. Darth Maul shows up a lot in a lot of the Mandalore episodes in the Clone Wars. He basically comes in, does some stuff, does some things, like shatters this already shattered culture even more. Like, definitely watch that.
Is this the same episode with Bo-Katan that you're talking about?
It's a different episode it's a different arc. Sorry. This is
okay.
Season 5, episode 14 through 16. Like,
Gotcha.
Maul is in a lot of that. It's not necessarily about Mandalore, but you should watch them. Just go watch them.
No, if it has to do with like Mandalorian culture and like doesn't have to be like just about the planet, but like I know like Maul is like heavily involved with, like, I mean, at one point he gets the Darksaber, you know?
Yeah. And
that's like something in itself.
That 3-episode arc, Season 5, episode 14 through 16, definitely watch those. Probably regarded as the best of the best. Siege of Mandalore, Season 7. Bo-Katan links up with Ahsoka and says, like, we need help. Our people are dying. Like, Maul is here. And that's kind of how Bo-Katan reams Ahsoka in. And it's just like a showcase of like why Ahsoka is like for the people and not just for the Republic. Like, she's actually about helping out other star systems that are actually in distress, and Mandalore being probably the one that's in the most distress right now. A huge battle between Maul and Ahsoka. The Republic wins this Siege of Mandalore, and Order 66 happens. Maybe spoiler, maybe not spoiler. Shortly after the Night of 1,000 Tears happens. And we do see a glimpse of that later in a different show in Book of Boba Fett. It's fucking so tragic. That's all I gotta say. I don't really want to spoil too much for, if you haven't seen the first episode of Mando S3, watch these first for Clone Wars.
Or even go back and watch them if you're listening to this and you've already seen the first episode. For sure.
I mean, we're all doing that. But for
quick. Oh wait, hold on. Before we move on to Rebels, I do want you to spoil this quick detail. How does Maul lose the Darksaber?
How does he lose the Darksaber? I might have forgot.
He fought Sidious.
It was Savage and Maul versus Sidious in Mandalore, like in the depths of Mandalore. Savage got fucked,
and then it went to Sabine after, and then I think we know how it goes. Once it's acquired from Sabine.
Yeah.
We will talk about Rebels and where the Darksaber goes from there. Following the Darksaber is so fun.
It's an amazing journey.
Okay, let's get into the Mandalorian, the essential Mandalorian arcs
for Rebels. Definitely watch Season 2, Episode 8. You get a lot of history on Sabine. Sabine gets introduced before that, and her house is House Wren. You find that out way before this episode. Watch Season 2, Episode 13, Protector of Concord Dawn. Literally, like, I don't know if you remember watching this, Joe, but it's like Concord Dawn is a shattered, like, planet. All the remnants of the planets are, like, still orbiting around, like, the center of the planet.
I think this sounds familiar, yeah.
This is the first time you get introduced to, like, Fen Rao and those badass fucking ships.
What is it about these two episodes that you just mentioned? Like, if you could just give like a little detail on each one, like why you personally think it's important.
Okay, so the first episode, Season 2, Episode 8, I think is very important because I think it's more focused. It's definitely more focused on Sabine, but when I was jotting this down, I was like, okay, Sabine may or may not be in The Mandalorian, but probably definitely is going to be in Ahsoka. So it's probably worth to do your, like, a little bit of research on Sabine. Getting
so
her
it's
background.
just get to know the character pretty much.
Get to know the Mandalorian.
Introduces you to Sabine. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Protector of Concord Dawn. Fen Rao is in this Mandalorian culture where you have all of these houses that are always split from one another. They never know how to unite for a greater good or a greater cause. You have these kind of rogue, they don't make a name for themselves, like they don't they don't try to make themselves flashy or known to anybody else. They're just kind of like a rogue house. I don't even think Fen Rao like is part of a house. They're just the protectors. Like they're strictly tying themselves to Concord Dawn and this broken planet. I think it's just important to kind of get your head around like
the different clans is kind of is what this is about.
Yeah, like the Mandalorians are so fractured. I think this is a fantastic episode to watch or an arc to watch, especially moving forward. If you move on to season 3, episode 7, you get introduced to Gar Saxon. Classic, like, yeah, the Empire is actually going to give me power. Dude, who in Star Wars has ever been promised power from the Empire and not died? Or, like, gotten fucked over at some point? Like, no, they got swindled.
And
but
Gar Saxon was, I don't remember seeing him in Clone Wars besides the Siege of Mandalore arc.
It was only that.
It was only that?
It was only that. And in that episode, like, even the people that follow him, they're kind of like, yeah, what are you doing? You know, like, there's a hint of, like, uniting the clans in that episode. Definitely watch that one. And I got 2 more. Okay. I got 3 more, actually. Season 3, episode 15. It's Sabine training with the Darksaber.
Yep.
Against Kanan. It's against Ezra, and Kanan coaching while Kanan is blind. And I think this is the first time they actually bring up Tar Vizsla in either of the animated shows. They might have brought it up in Clone Wars, but I know they definitely bring it up in this episode. I think this is fantastic. I think watching Sabine try to conquer her own struggles with being the rightful heir to the Mandalorians and also not wanting it at the same time is quintessential to moving forward in the live action series. If we're going that direction. I don't know if we're going that direction.
And something in this too from the Book of Boba Fett, because we get our Mando, or Din Djarin. We'll call him Din Djarin for the sake of this, because he trains with the Darksaber and it's heavy, right? Do they mention this in this episode when she's training with it? Because she's having difficulty swinging it as well, right?
Oh yeah, she definitely says it's too heavy. They don't emphasize that, but they definitely emphasize, like, I don't know how to wield this thing, even though it's been like granted to me or gifted to me or whatever. They emphasize I'm not worthy of it. But Kanan kind of presses the issue of like, no, you're just not working hard enough. And this is the Mjolnir of the Star Wars universe. And my last 2, it's the next episode. My next is the next episode after the one I was just talking about. Season 3, episode 16. Sabine pretty much fulfills her destiny. Still go watch it. But she gives the Darksaber to somebody else. You can probably guess. She gives it to Bo-Katan. Sabine pretty much says, you have all of the characteristics and attributes of what the true leader of Mandalore should have. In order to wield the Darksaber, you must win it in combat. So I think that is why it becomes heavy. The more it gets passed to somebody else without winning it in combat, the heavier it gets. I'll leave you with that. And that pretty much leaves off the Darksaber lore. Just go watch all those episodes. The last episode I recommend.
Well, before you recommend the next episode, I just want to say Sabine gives the Darksaber to Bo-Katan, and then in relation to the Mandalorian, we find out at the end of season 1, in the season 1 finale of the Mandalorian, that the Darksaber is now with Moff Gideon. So I hope they do touch on what happened there. Like, how did it go from Bo-Katan to Moff Gideon?
And it also brings me back to like the last scene of Mando season 1.
Yeah, no, that was the
biggest
broke
open a whole fucking, like, literally broke open, and in terms of lore, just broke open a whole fucking realm of Star Wars, which we're talking about today. It's crazy.
It really is. Like, I was talking to someone about it the other day, like, because I had already known about the Darksaber before seeing that moment, so I was like in shock. I was like, oh fuck, like, no way, they just did Darksaber in live action. But like to like someone that maybe hasn't seen Clone Wars or Rebels, I would still imagine that they would see that and be like, what? There's a black lightsaber? Like, what's this? You know?
Yeah.
But the guy that I was talking to, shouts out to Sean Mott of the Medical Nerds, but he said he saw that and he was like, I immediately started watching Clone Wars and Rebels after that one. And
let's go. Yeah. Let's go.
So I was like, yeah, man, it's fucking crazy. But yeah, so.
Yeah, and I mean, Din Djarin technically did win the Darksaber in the fight versus Moff Gideon at the end. So then, you go into Book of Boba Fett and it's it gets a little dicey, like in terms of who should actually wield it. It's all going to come to some crazy shit. Like inter-Mandalorianly, it's going to come to some crazy shit in season 3. It definitely will.
Yeah. Okay. The final.
Let me throw this out there. Final rec, and I'm not going to be specific about this at all. Season 5, Rebels, Episode 5. It's mandatory. It is mandatory.
Please, the pun. The pun is nuts there.
You like that shit?
Wow.
You just watch it.
Very cool. Those are great recs. The Mandalorians, baby. What a vast history. Watch them all, folks. Like, while you're watching The Mandalorian, I mean, here's the thing about Clone Wars and Rebels. The episodes are only like 20, 25 minutes long. Throw them on your lunch break. Just real easy. Like, I like looking at them as like if I really watch some if I just watch some heavy shit, like some super serious shit, and I need like a palate cleanser or something, Clone Wars or Rebels. It's good stuff. But yeah, so without further ado, let's talk about Chapter 17, The Apostate. Finally back. Like I said earlier at the top of the episode, 2 years. I can't believe that. It's been 2 years.
It's been 2 years?
It's been 2 full years. Because, let's see. Season 2 ended December 18th, 2020. It feels like it's been... I didn't
realize that. Holy...
It only feels shorter. We saw him in the Book of Boba Fett, right? But no, the actual Mandalorian show, we haven't had an episode of it since December 18th, 2020. And then it premiered March 1st, 2023. 2 years and some change. But yeah, so we're back. Din Djarin is back. Grogu is back. But yeah, this episode directed by Rick Famuyiwa. He's been constantly in the show all throughout seasons 1 and 2. He's directed a few episodes, but I think now he's alongside Favreau and Filoni, he's one of the executive producers now, so that's pretty cool to see. But yeah, so this episode, initial thoughts, what'd you think? Actually, let's just go through the episode. Let's just go bit by bit. So
let's hit with the giant alligator, dude. Let's get it.
Oh yeah, the fucking giant crazy ass alligator. Oh my gosh, this scene was interesting because now we're going back to Vizsla's. Who is this? What's this guy's name again? His name is Paz Vizsla. He's been in The Mandalorian, not really as a main focus ever, but you'll recognize this one because he's the big bulky Mandalorian. He has the big ass chain blaster thing. This episode starts out and the armorer is building a new helmet for a youngling. And I'll be honest with you, I thought this was a flashback, and I thought this was
me too.
Young Mando. Yeah, but it ends up being, I feel like they alluded to this, that it is a youngling under Paz Vizsla. Just because the helmet color scheme matches him, and they kind of, when the armor puts the helmet on him, it kind of focuses on Paz, and he's just kind of watching he's a proud dad or some shit. It's like a helmet ceremony, crowning ceremony, if you want to call it that. But yeah, they get attacked by a giant alligator. And dude, they're fucking getting wrecked by this thing. And sometimes
1v80.
Dude, they're blasting the hell out of this thing, even with their little sticky bombs, nothing is working. And the funniest thing to me that I saw was once they all started shooting their little harpoons at him, I was like, what the fuck do you guys think is gonna happen here? And the alligator fucking clapped him and just rolled over, and yeah, no, it was all bad. And then sure enough, who comes and saves the day? Fucking Din Djarin. Yeah. that is like, if I saw this in a movie theater, if this was in a crowd full of Mandalorian fans in a movie theater, people would have lost their shit over this moment for sure. He fucking swoops in on the N1 starfighter. Yeah, no, the Mando theme is fucking epic. Just one shots the thing with that crazy blue N1 starfighter bomb. Like seeing the, because we had to see the starfighter in action after just seeing it fly around in the Book of Boba Fett. So that was great to see. But what did you think about this opening sequence?
Not to repeat too much, but I definitely did think it was a flashback. I love the armor. She's sick. But I think that she's the only Mandalorian right now that is holding the creed to this high of standards. It makes sense. You're part of a religion. I also have all this religious armor that's going to protect you from all this shit. Here you go. And I can craft it for you. Can anybody else? No. So you should follow me. But I do love that she, in this whole chaotic battle scene with the lizard, whatever you want, the reptilian, whatever you want to call it. Like, she came out at like towards the very end and just was like, all right, fuck this. Like, I don't do battle that much because I'm an armor, and just flies out there, dives into the water. And I think she didn't save the youngling.
She did save the youngling.
It was the youngling, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And then after that, Vizsla punched the youngling out of the way and just started fucking rifling off that minigun or whatever it is. I liked it. I think it was a good introduction. It definitely had me like, ah, shit. Damn, we're back in it. Just straight going into the action. But you know what?
It definitely feels like that. It's like, oh, it's like, yeah, we're fucking back.
Yeah, we're back, baby. We're back. And then they're all getting fucked up. Mando comes in, like you're saying, fucks them up with the blue proton torpedoes or whatever. They weren't torpedoes, but like the blue lasers or whatever they were. Parks his shit. Opens, like, that shot is so good. He just like opens up like the cage and he's just looking at all the Mandalorians.
And then Grogu's like little head just pops up.
So good.
So sick.
Like,
and then
you banned me from the Kree? What's up? Just saved all your asses.
The Mando title card has never hit harder than it did in this episode. You know?
Dude, it's a little bit harder later.
But no, like, just to go back to the armor and everybody and all those Mandalorians like doing useless shit to try to fight this thing off. She was about to start she was about to start swinging at it with her fucking like tools. I'm like, what do you think? What are you gonna do with this, dude?
You gonna smelt it to death?
Yeah, I was like, come on. It's like at least you tried.
Hey, it's the way.
It is the way.
It's the way.
This is the way. Yeah, you know, you're right.
But okay. But if you also imagine like those are all of the Mandalorians of the Creed and all of the younglings in one place, and they're all about to die from fucking lizard. Like,
yeah, no, you're do everything that you can.
Like that.
Yeah, it's like, what else? Like it's all on the line here. You know, I get that. It was just funny. You know.
Yeah.
I'm not critiquing it or saying like, you know, it brings the episode down or anything. It was just an observation I had and it was hilarious. Okay, but after the title card, the fucking armor, first thing she says after Mando saves all their lives, she's like, "You have removed your helmet." I'm like, come on, dude. Like, he just saved your life.
Furthermore, you removed it yourself.
Yeah, no, so they have like a brief conversation and Mando has come across, what is this? It's like a rock or some glass from the surface of Mandalore. I think it like he brought it to her as proof that he can redeem himself. By the way, like, if I were in this scenario, I would have said like, fuck you guys. I don't even want to be redeemed anymore, you know? Like, I just saved you guys and this is how you're treating me? Fuck being redeemed. But yeah, so it's like something from the surface of Mandalore. What'd you think about this?
It was interesting to me, man, because when I saw that shard of glass or whatever you want to call it, the armor eventually deems it as like poisoned. She doesn't say Beskar, but I do think it's poisoned Beskar. The whole bathing in the mines of Mandalore, that I cannot speak any insight into. I've never heard that. ever.
Yeah,
in any of my
it's not
Star
something
Wars
that you've
adventures.
seen. Yeah, it's not in Clone Wars or Rebels or anything like that.
No comic books that I've read, nothing. And I hope that's not like the primary focus of this. Like, I hope it's more of like all right, we'll spend like an episode or an episode and a half on it and then move forward into something bigger. You know, on the bright side of things, I love Grogu. I love him just sitting there, like understanding the depth of what's happening and just his reactions, you know, a little comedic relief, like a little tiny comedic relief. Like, I love that. But I hope Din Djarin proves his worth to the armorer, gets redeemed, and moves forward from the Creed and joins a different house. Because from my point of view, the Creed is shit. Death Watch, shit. Children of the Watch, shit. Bo-Katan, everything else in like Clone Wars and Rebels, like way sicker. Like way more dope.
I just had to look up a quick thing on Nerdist to see what they had to say about the artifact that he brought to her. I think there's like Mandalorian writing on it that makes it authentic to the armor. And that's why she's like, oh, like it's possible that the mines are still there. That means that like someone had gone there, because I guess after the Night of 1,000 Tears, it was assumed that like you couldn't go to Mandalore anymore because it just wasn't habitable.
Right.
But
like the air was toxic or something.
Yeah, but the fact that they came across this artifact was like, oh yeah, you can go there.
Din Djarin said it. He was like, I think he was lying. He said he got it from some Jawas. I think he was lying about that. But even if he wasn't lying, like, you know, he said, well, if Jawas can get this, like, from the surface, like, I can go there.
He wasn't saying that that Jawas were there to get it. He said the Jawas had acquired it from a traveler. So I was like, oh, yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, so there's that. After this scene, we go back to Navarro. Navarro is absolutely thriving under Grief Karga.
High Magistrate.
Yeah, High Magistrate Grief Karga. Yep. The planet's cool. You brought up Grogu being like the little comedic relief, and we just get some more of this here of him being a little goofball, like using the Force for the right reasons here. You know, like he's sitting in a chair and just using the Force to spin himself around. He's using the Force to acquire candy and snacks.
A little M&M,
very
just
very
one.
cool. Yeah, just a little nibble, bud. Let me just get just one little nibble, and then they have like a conversation. Like Grief Karga wants Mando to be the Marshal, and I'm gonna bring up something else in a second here about the Marshal. But he's also trying to convince him to just like live on Navarro. You know, he's like, hey, like I can hook you up with a new spot. Again, if it were me, I would have taken this spot and gone on your adventure anyway. It's like, okay, I need a home base, you know? Like, he should have just been like, yeah, cool, thanks for the crib, I'll be back later. But yeah, no, so Grief Karga mentions, like, he's in need of a marshal, and then they talk about Marshal Dune, Cara Dune, who is not here.
Thank God.
And pretty much the way that they handled this, because everybody knows what happened with Gina Carano, they pretty much just said like, oh yeah, Marshal Dune got recruited by like special forces or something, so she's not going to be around. People were joking how they would write off Cara Dune, and there was like this one video where it's like the Star Wars opening titles, you know, and like someone made an edit where it's like the rolling text, and it was just like Star Wars, The Mandalorian, Season 3. Cara Dune blew up and died. Ha ha ha, lol.
Oh my God. Oh man, you gotta go that far.
I thought it was kind of silly, but no Cara Dune. I'll be honest with you, I'm interested in having the character in the show just recast. I don't think like
the character
Gina Carano.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't think Gina Carano was like doing anything special with the role anyway. But the character is interesting, like some extra muscle. You know what I'm saying? This was odd to me. They bring back IG-11, or at least they try to. What did you think about Navarro, and what do you think about them trying to bring back IG-11?
Navarro, I think, is fine. I don't know much about the Hydian Way, but what it tells me is that Din Djarin pretty much did these things for the baby Grogu, but helped so many other people, and he didn't even realize it. Like, he helped Navarro so much, which I think is fucking awesome. Look what happens. Trees are there now. Fuck, volcanic planet. I don't know.
Trees and greenery. Yeah.
All that shit. But IG-11 is a very interesting move. I like it, though. Not a fan of is 4 Babu Fricks. Showing up. Like, it's good. Like, I like the scene, but I don't like the overall, like, reintroduction of the, what are they called? As Mullins?
Something like that. It's like something an like ANZ something, yeah.
Something like that. And I'm like, let's not bring back something from The Rise of Skywalker and try to make it cool. Let's not do that. Because there's not a whole lot that was really cool in Rise of Skywalker. I think it's fucking hilarious that IG-11 is like the big statue in the center of like the entire town. Because he is the savior. Like, he actually is the fucking savior.
The thing about like the IG-11 statue, I thought it was just like, you know, people put up statues to, like, commemorate people, and it's usually like just bronze statues, you know. Yeah. But this, like, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, they put up a bronze statue of IG-11. No, they used his actual parts. Actually him.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
No, it's only his top half.
Okay, yeah, that's true. A lot of the other parts were still over there. Yeah, no, I think bringing back IG-11 is a good move. And, like, him, like, when they turn his brain back on, or when they try to, pretty terrifying stuff when he's trying to just, like, very, very Terminator. I thought that was pretty funny. Like, when that whole thing is happening and Mando's trying to shoot it and he just tosses Grogu to Grief Karga, I was like, yo. That shit was too funny to me. But no, that I feel like they're trying to go for a little bit of humor here as well, which I'm cool with. I just hope it's not overbearing for the season. But if they crack a joke here and there, I mean, like, that scene was kind of funny, you know, and Grogu being a goofball is funny.
That's using your head.
I just hope they don't do it too much. Because they even tossed in, like, a couple, like one-liners here. Like, you commented one on one of the posters. It was like, and Mando's like, well, that's how you use your head. I'm like, oh. Wow. I was like, all right.
Yeah, when I first watched it, I was like, I could have done without it, but you know what? I respect it.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, fine. I'll let you guys have this one. But yeah, as far as the Enzellans, I think that's what it is. Hold on, let me look this up. Enzellan. Yeah, I'm cool with it. The only thing that I was disappointed about when they came up, because I don't think any of the Enzellans that were in there were actually Babu Frick.
No, they weren't.
Were they? Yeah, no, none of them were actually Babu Frick.
Maybe
they were, but they didn't really mention any of them by name. You know, there were just 4 Enzellans in there trying to fix up IG-11. And you know what I was hoping for that we didn't get? And maybe we'll get it back. Just like a hey! 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 I was like, fuck. Where was the greeting at, bro?
Nah, just wait. When he gets that memory core, we're gonna get one of those. We're gonna get one of those.
That's all I want from this season. But yeah, so one more thing we didn't talk about that happened on Navarro. The run-in with the pirates. Thing about the planet. Oh yeah, the Voldemort looking ass cat. Yeah. So some pirates show up. Something that High Magistrate Grief Karga has been doing to the city is that he's like, you know, rebuilding and revamping everything. And one of the little stores or whatever, it used to be a bar, but now it's a school. Very, very honorable of him to turn a bar into a school. And these pirates show up and they're like, oh, we want to drink in the school. And they're like, well, no, you can't. It's a school now, but we can get a drink elsewhere. These guys are just being assholes. And so we get like a little showdown.
We'll standoff.
Yeah. The pirates get clapped by Grief and Mando. Very cool stuff. So yeah, they have that little showdown. Like, you know, the episode goes on, stuff happens, and then we get to see the starfighter, the N1 starfighter in action again. Oh my God. And this was incredible. We needed to see this, you know? Like I said earlier, Book of Boba Fett, he got to fly around in the starfighter. Now we get to see him kick ass in it. Like, everything he did, the starfighters are so cool. Him using the asteroids to, like, hide and like just fire off, like just pick all these guys off was insane.
Does anyone have eyes on the Mandalorian?
The Pirate King. Oh man, fucking yeah, he looked hilarious. But yeah, I'm sure you enjoyed this space battle as well.
It's fucking fantastic. We've seen meteor, like inter-asteroid space battles before, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Best sound in Star Wars. What I love the most is the soundtrack. It's the same song. It's dun 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 dun, but every time Mando blows something up, it's just one note of it. Pause.
Mm-hmm.
One note of it. Pause. And I'm like, oh my god. Okay, now we're really back. If we thought we were back in the beginning of this episode, no, we're really fucking back now. What's up?
What's up? We're fucking back.
Oh my god. I mean, that's all I can really say about it. Like the pirates and all that, I don't really recognize like the captain of that ship. I don't know. I mean, he got schooled. So
no, he's
anyways.
New. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure he's new.
Yeah, I mean,
for Star Wars lore.
Yeah, one of my buddies was like, "Oh, is that Admiral Trench?" And he was like, "Nah, Trench was a spider." And whatever.
But yeah, so very, very cool stuff. Very cool space battle. And then we go to, I forget the name of this planet, but it is where Bo-Katan is currently residing. It's another planet in the Mandalorian system, as Din Djarin said. We get to see a Mandalorian castle. Very cool. And Mando tries to team up with Bo-Katan again, and she kind of refuses it. She's like, my mission's over because you have the Darksaber. The relationship's complicated between them. I feel like they are going to build towards some kind of... I mean, I'm sure, like, I think it's probably obvious, but there's going to be some sort of conflict between them two, which is interesting. I wonder how that'll resolve out, whether it be like not like a duel where they're trying to kill each other, but just like a little fight between the two for the Darksaber. Like they're like set up in like an arena type shit, you know, like with like Mandalorian. With like Mandalorians like bearing witness to like see who will like wield the Darksaber, you know?
Or like the Battle of Geonosis type shit?
Yeah. That'd be interesting. But something has to go down between the two, because I'm pretty sure Bo-Katan still wants the Darksaber, but she's just kind of given up on it for now. But yeah, so what did you make anything of this scene?
It's really sad seeing Bo-Katan all depressed.
It's like she lost her purpose.
But it's also like Mando, I don't think he necessarily wants to wield the Darksaber for power over other Mandalorians. Mm-hmm. I think he wants to wield it more so to protect Grogu. There is one thing we did not talk about, though.
Oh yeah, no, I was saving it for last.
No,
it is the littlest detail from the show, but it is very important small detail. So towards the beginning of the episode, I want to say it was like the opening 20 minutes. We get Grogu and Din Djarin in hyperspace. I believe they're on their way to Navarro. That makes sense. And while they are in hyperspace, we get a pretty cool shot of like it's zoomed out, like we see the N1 starfighter just flying through, but we get shapes of the fucking Purrgil. Fucking space whales, baby. Let's fucking go. And would you like to explain what a Purrgil is? And this kind of brings us back to the last episode that you recommended. So what is a Purrgil, and what do you think the significance is?
I'll just say this. I thought it was fantastic that they just teased it really quick. Like, not in the very beginning, but like towards the middle, and they just didn't focus on it too much. I thought this was amazing. I don't know a shit ton about Purrgils. I don't think there's a lot about Purrgils out there, but what I do know is the Purrgils are an ancient... They're pretty much like ancient space whales that can travel through hyperspace. It's kind of fucking crazy. My first introduction to the Purrgil were towards the end of Rebels. You should watch Rebels, but Ezra Bridger finds out that he's very what's the phrase? He's very in tune with creatures, animals. Towards the end, season 5, or even I think it's in season 3, he rides a Burgil, which is ridiculous, but you just go watch it. Let's go back to season 5. He pretty much calls an army of Purgils to defeat Grand Admiral Thrawn, and the way he does it is he is on the same ship as Grand Admiral Thrawn, and all of the Purgil surround this ship, and they just get boosted off into fucking hyperspace. We don't know where they're going.
And that's the last to see of them.
That's it. And that's it. And you're like, okay, Joe, I gotta say, like, I know you're vibing with me on the thought. It's a stretch, but we're getting there.
Oh yeah, no, it's steps. We're taking steps towards it. You know, when I feel like we've talked about on this podcast before how the world isn't ready for live action Purgils, and now we're fucking here. I couldn't believe it when I first saw it. I was like, no fucking way. I was thinking about, I was like, are they just constantly traveling in hyperspace like 100% of the time? Because obviously you never seen them around in Star Wars before, but I don't know. It's just so interesting to me. It's like, because, you know, in season 2 of Mandalorian, obviously Grand Admiral Thrawn is out there doing something. So they ended up somewhere, you know, but it's like, where's Ezra and where's Thrawn? And I wonder if they're just constantly traveling through hyperspace, and that's why no one can find them. You know,
and you also, like, you can't write like 3 books during this time frame and just like say that Thrawn is dead. You can't introduce Thrawn in Rebels and just write that shit up. Like, you can't do this. Don't do this.
The possibilities are endless.
Just based off of this 10-second scene, I wish I could explain how I think everything's going to connect in, you know, a couple minutes for you. But what I beg of you is watch the episodes of Clone Wars and Rebels. Maybe read Heir to the Empire.
Yeah. That's it. Purgils. We're fucking here. Live action space whales.
It's a little cheesy, but
it's out there for sure. I think it's
out there.
I think it might be the most out there thing in Star Wars.
But I also don't mind like behemoth creatures being super force sensitive. Like, I don't mind that. Like,
yeah, no, I don't mind that either. I think they're like the creatures in Star Wars are of course like great, but it's like it's a whale that flies through space. You know?
Well,
but you just have to buy into it. You have to buy into the lore. But what a premiere, huh? Pretty good stuff.
Like, how could I think so many things of? I watched it like 5 times, and I was like, how could I have so many thoughts racing about a 10-second clip?
Yeah,
or just the entire episode.
Yeah, this premiere definitely shot up my expectations for the season, and it's not like I was going into it with low expectations. I was like expecting to enjoy it. But I just hope that they don't hold us over for too long. I think I would be fine if they saved something like Ezra and Thrawn for the finale. I think they're working with enough here. Like, just go with like the conflict between, or the possible conflict between Din Djarin and Bo-Katan, and that'll be good for the season to like kind of toy with that, and then you could tease us for the future with Ezra and Thrawn. That'd be good. But we'll see. I think overall, I would give. I'm gonna do start us off on the season. I'm gonna go 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 4.3. I mean, my initial watch, I was like, all right, it's a little bit cheesy at times, Filoni and Favreau. Like, I'm not gonna lie, but again, I have to say, you know, it's Star Wars, it's Disney. Like, I'll leave you at that.
But yeah, so I don't have any other thoughts. That's it for me. Thanks for tuning in, folks. We are going to try to do these weekly recaps of each episode. Be sure to follow us on socials. All the links are in the description. Leave us a rating, leave us a review. And until the next pod, we will catch you guys next time. So peace.
This is the way.
This is the fucking way.